You ever notice how some mornings you wake up and it feels like the whole day has already been decided for you? Maybe you didn't sleep well, maybe you've got something stressful waiting on your calendar, or maybe your heart just feels heavy for no obvious reason. And the temptation is to roll over, to hit snooze, to let the day set the tone for you. But here's the truth. It doesn't have to be that way. Happiness doesn't just land in your lap. It's not something you wait on. It's a choice you make right from the moment your feet hit the floor. You can choose joy before the day chooses for you. Now I get it, easier said than done. Some of you are probably thinking, I can't just snap my fingers and feel happy. And you're right. Happiness isn't about pretending everything's fine when it's not. It's about intentionally deciding what kind of energy you're going to bring into the day, no matter what's waiting outside your door. It's less about faking a smile and more about planting your flag in the ground before the storms of life start blowing. Think about it like this. If you don't make the choice, life will make it for you. And life doesn't always play fair. It'll use stress, distractions, and negativity to hijack your mood before you've even had your first sip of coffee. But when you wake up and say to yourself, today, I choose joy, I choose to be present, I choose to protect my peace, you've already shifted the power back into your hands. You've claimed the driver's seat instead of sitting in the passenger side, waiting to see where the road takes you. And here's the thing about choosing joy, it's not about ignoring reality. It's about facing reality with a different posture. You can wake up knowing the day is going to be tough, but still decide that you're not going to let it steal every ounce of light from you. That's not denial, that's discipline. It's the discipline of saying, yes, I see the hard things, but I'm not handing them control over my entire spirit. Sometimes that choice looks really small. It's choosing to put on music that lifts you up instead of scrolling through the noise on your phone first thing in the morning. It's taking 60 seconds before you step into work to breathe and remind yourself, I get to be here. I get another shot at this day. It's deciding to call a friend instead of isolating yourself when you feel overwhelmed. Those little choices, when you stack them day after day, create a foundation where joy can actually live, even when life isn't cooperating. The mistake so many of us make is waiting for the stress to pass, waiting for the problem to solve itself, waiting for the right relationship, the right job, the right season of life to show up and make us happy. But if you keep waiting, you'll miss the life that's right in front of you. Happiness isn't in the waiting, it's in the choosing. It's in the act of saying, this moment is mine, and I will not let it be stolen from me before it's even begun. And yes, you're going to have days when the choice feels impossible. You're human. You're allowed to break down, to feel the weight, to be real about the hurt. But even then, even in the lowest of valleys, the decision to reach for one drop of joy, whether it's through gratitude, through prayer, through movement, through connection, that choice is what keeps you from drowning in it. Because when you don't choose, the world will choose for you. So tomorrow morning, before the stress comes knocking, before the emails flood in, before the weight of life starts pulling at you, make the choice. Decide before the day decides for you. Choose joy before the day chooses for you. Gratitude is one of those things that sounds simple, but it changes everything. See, when life feels heavy, your mind naturally zooms in on what's wrong, what's missing, or what's broken. That's just human nature. We're wired to notice the problems first. But here's the shift. Happiness doesn't live in what's missing. It lives in what's already here. And the way you uncover it is by training yourself to find gratitude in the smallest things. I'm not talking about big, dramatic blessings. I'm talking about the tiny, everyday moments that we overlook because we're too busy waiting for something bigger to happen. The taste of your coffee in the morning, the sound of laughter from someone you love, that brief moment of quiet when you step outside and feel the sun on your face. Those are the kinds of things that, if you pay attention, can anchor you when everything else feels uncertain. Gratitude doesn't erase the hardship, but it gives you something to hold on to while you're walking through it. Think about it this way. If you're in a dark room and you light a single candle, the darkness doesn't disappear. But the candle gives you enough light to see, enough light to keep moving, enough light to not give up. Gratitude is that candle. You can't always control the size of the room or the weight of the darkness, but you can choose to light the candle by noticing what's still good, what's still working, what's still giving life to your spirit. And here's where most people get it wrong. They wait for gratitude to just show up. They think they'll feel grateful once things finally get better. But gratitude isn't passive, it's active. It's something you practice, even when it doesn't come naturally. Especially when it doesn't come naturally, because the harder it is to find something to be thankful for, the more powerful it becomes when you do. It shifts your focus away from everything that's draining you and reminds you that even in the storm, you're still standing. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. What if I really don't have anything to be grateful for right now? And that's fair. Life can hit you so hard, it feels like there's nothing left to hold on to. But here's the truth. Gratitude doesn't always have to be about what's perfect. It can also be about what's present. Maybe it's the fact that you're still breathing. Maybe it's the strength you didn't even realize you had to get out of bed today. Maybe it's a text from someone checking in on you. These things may feel small, but they are proof that life is still giving you pieces of good, even if it's not giving you everything you want. And the beauty of gratitude is that it multiplies. The more you notice, the more there is to notice. It's like training your eyes to see what they used to overlook. And once you build that muscle, happiness stops feeling like something far away. It becomes something you can tap into in the middle of the struggle. You start realizing that you don't have to wait for the storm to pass to feel joy. You can actually find little sparks of it right in the middle of the storm. So when life feels heavy and everything in you wants to focus on what's broken, stop. Look for one thing, just one thing, you can be grateful for. Let that one thing be your anchor, because gratitude may not take the weight off your shoulders, but it will give you the strength to carry it. When life gets hard, the easiest thing in the world is to focus on what's missing. That's where the mind naturally runs, straight to the gaps, the losses, the things you wish you had but don't. You start saying, if only I had this, if only that didn't happen, if only life looked different right now. And before you know it, your entire perspective is shaped by lack, by absence, by what isn't here. And here's the problem with that. When you only look at what's missing, you become blind to what's still here, what's still working, what's still holding you up. Happiness slips right through your fingers, not because it disappeared, but because you stopped seeing it. Shifting your focus isn't about pretending your problems don't exist. They do. We're not in the business of denial here. It's about recognizing that your problems aren't the whole picture. They're just part of it. And right alongside the pain, right alongside the struggle, there are still things to hold onto, relationships that matter, opportunities you still have, strengths you didn't even realize were inside you. The shift comes when you stop staring so hard at what you don't have that you actually miss what's still right in front of you. It's like holding a camera. If you zoom in too close on one broken detail, the rest of the picture goes blurry. But if you pull back, if you widen the lens, you realize that yes, the broken part is there, but so is everything else. So is the beauty, the color, the pieces that are still intact. Shifting your focus is widening the lens on your own life. It's reminding yourself that the story isn't finished just because one chapter hurts. And listen, this isn't automatic. It takes effort because pain is loud. Pain demands your attention. It screams at you, look at me, look at what's wrong. But joy whispers, it hides in the ordinary, it's subtle, so you've got to tune your ear to hear it. You've got to deliberately point your eyes to it. When you lose a job, you can fixate on the door that closed, or you can notice the skills you've built, the resilience you've gained, the time you now have to redirect yourself. When a relationship ends, you can dwell only on the loss, or you can also see the lessons learned, the freedom to grow, the chance to become who you need to be before the right person shows up. It's not about dismissing the pain, it's about not letting the pain blind you to the good. And here's the part most people miss. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. If all of your focus goes into lack, you end up drained, bitter, hopeless. But if you shift even a little of that focus to what's here, to what's still possible, you start to rebuild energy. You start to carry hope. You start to see doors you couldn't see before. The circumstances might not change overnight, but your posture toward them changes. And that's where real happiness starts to grow. So yes, acknowledge the missing pieces. Be honest about the gaps, but don't camp there. Don't let your life be defined by what isn't here. Pull back, widen the lens, and see what's still standing. Because happiness isn't found in the missing. It's found in the noticing. One of the most overlooked ways to push yourself toward happiness, especially when life feels heavy, is to create little wins you can control. See, when everything around you feels chaotic, when so much seems out of your hands, it's easy to believe that happiness is out of your reach too. But that's not the truth. The truth is, you have the power to build momentum, even in the middle of struggle, by stacking small victories that remind you you're not powerless. Think about how good it feels to cross something off your to-do list, even if it's something as simple as making your bed. That small action doesn't fix everything in your life, but it does something powerful. It tells your brain, I can still create order, I can still take action, I can still move forward. That one tiny decision sets the tone for the rest of your day. And when you stack enough of those together, the weight you've been carrying doesn't feel quite as paralyzing. The mistake we make is waiting for big wins to come along. We think we'll feel happy once we land the dream job, once we get the apology, once life hands us something huge to celebrate. But big wins are rare. They're not daily. What is daily are the small things within your reach. Moving your body, finishing that project you've been avoiding, cleaning one corner of your space, choosing to drink water instead of numbing yourself with something that makes you feel worse. Those are all wins, and when you recognize them as wins, you realize happiness isn't about the size of the victory. It's about the consistency of them. Even in your lowest moments, there's always something you can do to reclaim a piece of control. Maybe it's lacing up your shoes and walking around the block when your mind feels stuck. Maybe it's sending that text to a friend you've been meaning to reconnect with. Maybe it's finally writing down the thoughts swirling in your head just to release some of the pressure. None of those things solve every problem, but each one plants a flag that says, I am not helpless here. And that mindset, that refusal to let the struggle define all of you, is where happiness starts to grow roots. And here's something important. Those small wins build on each other. One little choice creates energy for the next one. You make your bed and suddenly you want to tidy up your room. You tidy your room and suddenly you feel like you can handle that email you've been putting off. You send that email, and now you feel like you've got enough energy to cook yourself a decent meal instead of skipping it. What started as one small action ripples outward into a day that feels different, not because the big problems disappeared, but because you reminded yourself that you're capable of moving forward anyway. When life feels overwhelming, it's natural to freeze, to feel stuck, to want to do nothing at all. But the way out of that heaviness is never through waiting, it's through moving, even if the movement is small. Especially if the movement is small, because happiness isn't a place you arrive at once everything's perfect. It's built one choice at a time, one small win at a time, one day at a time. So don't wait for the big victories to rescue you. Start stacking the small ones you can control, because when you do, you'll discover that happiness isn't something you have to chase. It's something you can create. The truth is, the energy you keep around you will either fuel your happiness or quietly drain it away. It's not just about people, it's about everything you let into your space, who you talk to, what you watch, the conversations you engage in, even the thoughts you feed yourself. All of it has weight, and if you're not careful, that weight pulls you down before you even realize what's happening. Happiness isn't just about what you do inside, it's also about what you allow outside to influence you. We've all had that experience of walking away from someone and feeling lighter. Their presence gave you energy, encouragement, maybe even hope. And we've also had the opposite, walking away from someone and feeling exhausted, drained, like your spirit just got smaller. That's not an accident. People carry energy, and being around them rubs off on you, whether you notice it or not. That's why protecting your environment isn't selfish. It's necessary. You can't build a mindset of joy if you're constantly surrounded by negativity that chips away at it, and it goes beyond people. Think about what you consume. The news, the endless scroll of social media, the shows you binge, the music you play, it all feeds your mind. And your mind doesn't just consume it, it absorbs it, it reflects it back into your thoughts, your words, and eventually your mood. If every input you're giving yourself is negative, chaotic, or hopeless, how could happiness ever stand a chance? Sometimes pushing yourself to be happy means curating what you let in, trimming out what drains you, and feeding yourself with what lifts you. That doesn't mean cutting everyone off or pretending negativity doesn't exist. It means being intentional. If you know certain conversations always leave you bitter, step back from them. If you know that scrolling your phone late at night makes you anxious, set it aside and replace it with something that fills you instead. If you notice someone constantly brings drama into your life, limit how much access they get to your energy. You don't have to fix them, you just have to protect yourself. And here's the beautiful part. When you start surrounding yourself with uplifting energy, you start becoming that energy for other people too. You're calmer, more grounded, more hopeful. People notice. You become a person who doesn't just chase happiness but carries it, spreads it, protects it, and that creates a cycle. The more you give off, the more it comes back to you. Happiness multiplies when it's shared, but it can only multiply if you've got something positive inside of you to give. Sometimes the hardest part is recognizing that certain influences you've gotten used to aren't actually good for you. We get comfortable with negativity. We normalize it. We think it's just the way things are. But the moment you start raising the standard for what you let influence you, you'll feel the difference. You'll feel lighter. You'll feel more present. You'll notice you're not carrying as much invisible weight as you used to. And that makes it easier to push yourself toward happiness because you're not constantly fighting against the current of negativity around you. At the end of the day, you can't always control every circumstance, but you can control what you allow into your environment. You can choose who gets your time, what gets your attention, and what gets to shape your spirit. And those choices matter because they either make happiness harder or they make happiness possible. So be intentional, guard your environment, protect your peace, because the energy you allow in is the energy you end up living with. Struggles are something we all face, and they have a way of making us feel like we're stuck, like we're trapped in a season that won't end. And when you're in the middle of it, the natural question that comes to mind is, why me? Why is this happening? Why now? Why can't life just give me a break? And while those questions are human, they don't usually move us forward. They keep us circling the pain instead of learning from it. The real shift comes when you stop asking why me and start asking what now. That one question changes everything because it turns your struggle from something that weighs you down into something you can actually build from. It doesn't mean the struggle disappears. It doesn't mean the pain becomes easy. It means you decide to use it as a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block. Every challenge holds something inside of it. Maybe it's resilience, maybe it's clarity, maybe it's perspective you wouldn't have gotten any other way. The struggle itself isn't the gift, but the strength you pull out of it is. And once you start seeing it that way, you stop running from hard moments and start realizing they're shaping you into someone who can handle more than you ever thought you could. We've all looked back at something we once thought would break us, only to realize later it built us. That heartbreak that felt unbearable taught you what love should and shouldn't look like. That failure you thought ended your career became the thing that redirected you to where you were actually supposed to go. That season of loss that left you empty gave you a deeper appreciation for every blessing you hold now. Struggles don't just test you, they teach you. And happiness doesn't come from avoiding them. It comes from choosing to grow through them. But here's the catch. You only grow when you lean in instead of shutting down. When life gets hard, the temptation is to numb out, to distract yourself, to pretend it's not happening. But growth doesn't happen in avoidance. It happens when you sit with the discomfort long enough to ask, what is this teaching me? What strength is this building? How can I use this instead of letting it use me? That mindset doesn't take away the hurt, but it gives the hurt a purpose. And when pain has a purpose, it doesn't crush you the same way anymore. And let's be real, choosing to see struggles as stepping stones is not easy, it's messy, it's emotional. Sometimes it feels like progress is invisible. But every time you choose to keep moving forward, even when it's heavy, you're proving to yourself that happiness isn't about living a life without struggle. It's about not letting struggle steal your joy, your hope, your ability to keep showing up. The pain may visit, but it doesn't get to live rent, free in your heart forever. The truth is, some of the strongest, most joyful people you'll ever meet aren't the ones who have had it easy. They're the ones who have had it hard, and they decided not to let it break them. They took their pain and built something out of it. They turned every scar into a story, every loss into wisdom, every setback into a setup for the next chapter. And you can do the same. You can't choose whether or not struggles come, but you can choose what they turn you into. So the next time life hands you something heavy, don't just ask why me. Ask what now. Because happiness isn't found in a life without struggle. It's found in your decision to shine through it.